Guys, wouldn't your wife or girlfriend love it if you treated her to the very best this Christmas? Now you can, with the world's softest pajamas by Pajamagram. Created by a team of pajama experts, the world's softest PJs are lighter than a cloud, softer than a bunny, like cashmere, only better. She'll love how heavenly they feel. Includes free gift packaging and Christmas delivery is guaranteed. So visit pajamagram.com or call 1-800-GIVE-PJs.
This is the Locker Room Podcast.
We got week 1, show 1. Who needs practice, Willie? You got the Locker Room. I'm Rick DiPietro. I got Super Bowl champion Willie Colon with me here in New York.
Hey!
And I got NBA champion Antoine Walker out in Chicago on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. You can reach me at HDumpty39. Get a hold of Willie Colon at WillColon66 and at Walker Antoine 8. The phone number here is 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. So, Willie, this was an idea that came to me one morning, right? I'm sitting there watching, as I usually do in the mornings.
One of your many.
I'm watching ESPN, and I'm watching sports reporters. Now, as I'm watching the show, I love the show, right? You get to talk about all different sports topics, and you get different opinions. And as a former athlete, I'm watching some of these opinions, and I can't help but disagree with what they're saying.
Okay.
So I figured at some point it would be nice to have a show where you talk about similar sports topics, and now you have an athlete's perspective, like what's going on in the locker room.
Sure.
Like you can have opinion on something, but you don't necessarily know what's going on behind the scenes, right? Like one of the greatest stories I thought that came out this year was about last year's NBA Finals. Now, Brian Windhurst, who covers LeBron James in the Cleveland Cavaliers, was able to actually get the story because they won the NBA Finals. Now, if they don't win the NBA Finals, they lose to Golden State in 7 games. You're never going to get the story of LeBron James being called out by his head coach at halftime of Game 7. Like, those are the stories that I think people want to know. Like, I'm sure there's Pittsburgh Steelers fans that want to know if Ben Roethlisberger is a drama queen. Now, you won a Super Bowl with Ben Roethlisberger, so you can answer that question. I think there's people, that want to know what it's like to play with D. Wade and Shaquille O'Neal and be coached by Pat Riley. And fortunately for us, we got Antoine Walker, who won a championship with them in 2006 down in Miami. If you want to know if you're a hockey fan and you're watching the Rangers game yesterday, and you want to know why Derek Stepan decided he wanted to yell at his starting goalie, you can ask me, I can tell you. So all these things we get to do here in the show, and I wanted to open the show like this. So we're at noon, right?
Yeah, noon.
You're used to playing at 1.
Easily.
Antoine and I, he's in the NBA, I'm in the NHL. We don't normally play in the middle of the day, right?
Correct.
7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever it is. It's a matinee game for us.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And it's a weird time because it's brunch. It's not breakfast. It's brunch. And I wanted to tie all the sports in. So you had the Derby last night. Now I'm surrounded by champions.
Let's go Patches. I was rooting for Patches.
And they just ripped his eye right out.
They ripped his bloody eye out.
So I'm surrounded by champions. So we get the, we can incorporate the Derby. It's going to be the winner's circle. I mean, we can incorporate the fact that you were up all night, barely slept. Watch the Canelo fight.
I was rooting for Canelo, man.
And I walk in, and I expected to see you eating a breakfast sandwich because that's what you do.
Well, I was hungry.
You got to sop up some of that vodka. So right. I figured, I'm going to lean more towards the breakfast of champions, right?
Right.
And the breakfast of champions for most people is Wheaties, right?
It's not vodka?
Well, for you, it's probably vodka.
Sorry.
You got to hair of the dog a little bit.
Gotcha.
Get yourself back on track. But it's Wheaties, right? That's the cereal for champions.
Sure.
Now, you won a Super Bowl championship. Antoine won an NBA championship. And now, I need a ruling on this. Do we accept bean pot championships? No?
Nah. What do you think, Twan?
No. No.
You played in Boston. You know how important the bean pot is, Twan. Come on, man. Guy acting all bougie because he won an NCAA championship and an NBA championship.
Right. Something to hang your head on.
So I'm thinking about this as I'm driving in this morning to the show. And, the whole point of Wheaties is that you're looking forward to eating the actual cereal.
Do you?
Which would, in this case, really be you and Twan, right? Like, you're the champions.
Right.
So I'm sitting here feeling like I'm kind of like the whole milk in this situation. Where you guys are just floating around. And the beauty of the milk, though, is, like, you're not necessarily looking forward to the milk. Milk by itself is all right. Like, a nice glass of milk with a cookie is fine. But it's all about the cookie. For this case, it's all about the cereal. But as you marinate, right? As the cereal marinates in the milk. By the time you're done with that cereal, you can't wait to drink that milk.
Now, are you the guy that, like, I bowl it. I grab the bowl and I chug it.
You have to.
Or are you the guy that, like, sips? I hate the slurper.
No, I picked that bowl up. And first of all, I use a giant salad bowl. This is not a cereal bowl. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I get aggressive. So, I mean, at some point, I'm hoping that being surrounded by you guys and the champions that maybe you can start to maybe
rub off a
little bit. Well, that's what I'm hoping.
Well, listen, the thing about winning a championship, and I tell a lot of people this, it's never it's never the trophy, it's never the ring, it's the journey that you're on to win the championship. Antoine, I know you can attest to it. When you're in the locker room, there's a lot of times when you're in the locker room and you're a part of something that's simply bigger than you. There's stories, there's moments, there's things that happen where you're like, you know what? You go home at night, you go, I am a lucky SOB. Because if I was playing for any other team, I would be miserable. When I was in the Super Bowl, we won Super Bowl 43 against the Arizona Cardinals. I can remember leaving Baltimore. We had to play Baltimore 3 times that year. I can remember when we beat them the 3rd time, I was sitting with my fellow offensive linemen, and we all looked at each other like, I can't believe we just did that. Like, we beat Baltimore again because we as much as you prepare, like, listen, we're going to go in here, we're going to fight, we're going to try, you still don't really believe it until it happens. And when it happened, I can say I remember looking at my left guard, Chris Kimbalatu, and he was like, bro, I can't believe we just won. It was one of the most compelling things that ever happened, but it was the journey getting there is what you remember the most. So hopefully this locker room, we take people on a journey, we bring them inside, and we get wacky with them.
Well, here's the point of the locker room, too, Twan, and correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, you were in an NBA locker room, and now I'm sure the fans that are listening to the show right now want to know exactly what happens in an NBA locker room and in an NFL locker room. And as a former professional athlete myself, I'm actually probably just as interested, right? Like, you want to know what's going on in the other sports locker rooms. And I think the biggest thing that we all miss about being in a locker room is the camaraderie of the locker room. It's the stories. There's really only one rule about being in a locker room, right? As far as your teammates are concerned, wives, kids, those are off the table. Everything else,
fair game.
Fair game, right?
Your shoes, your haircut, your breath.
Everything else is fair game. I agree with Willie, though, just to, kind of piggyback what he said. It is the journey, and, that you start off with. I can just, real quickly, think back with the Heat, and we had a slogan saying 15 strong. And we used to fill up this, tub. Pat Riley created this little tub we used to fill up every time we get a win. And you just throw these cards in there just saying 15 strong. But it was the first time I played. I had been in the league at that point 9 years. I had never been on a team that actually hung out like that and spent so much time together on and off the court. I mean, it was just an amazing journey. We were predicted to win it early in the season. We didn't play up to our expectations. But once we got in the playoffs, the way we was able to turn it on and lock in and win it, like you said, and then afterwards, it was like, damn, we really did it. We actually won the NBA title. We was down 0-2 and came back and won. So that journey to get to be an NBA champion was unbelievable for me, and it's something I would always remember the rest of my life, being on that ride with those guys.
All right, speaking of championships, since I've never won one, I'm interested to know. We're going to call this Straight Talk brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, half the cost. Now, we weren't going to necessarily open the show with this, but I want to know. I'm going to have to know now since you guys are talking about it. Once you actually win the championship, because, again, being around your teammates, some of the decisions you make are because it's going to lead to a good story, right? So, Willie, you win the Super Bowl. What happens that night?
Oh, God. So, the night we win the Super Bowl, first of all, I tell this story all the time. We get to the locker room. Obviously, everybody's celebrating, cigars, and we're all happy taking pictures. We get on the bus, and when there's a live feed of Pittsburgh and how they're celebrating, the city's on fire. People were setting cars on fire. People were setting bus stands on fire. It looked like Armageddon. And I said to myself, and my brother who was with me at the time, who was at the team bus going back to the hotel, he goes, bro, I think I parked my car downtown. I'm nervous. I said, what do you mean? He goes, bro, I work right there. That's my job. And the whole place is on fire. It was crazy. Down in Oakland, they were knocking over cars. It was insane. We got to the hotel, and one of my favorite memories is, so Snoop Dogg is a diehard Steeler fan, diehard. And we're all celebrating with our families, and we're all walking around, and my aunt, my mom's sister, she's a twin, she's walking around the lobby following Snoop. Now, Snoop has a helmet, and he's going around getting all the players' autographs. So he comes up to me, and I'm with some of my guys. He's like, hey, Willie, man, good game. Sign his helmet. So my aunt is standing next to Snoop. I'm like, T, can you get away from Snoop? She's like, all right, but I just want to take a picture with Snoop. So I said, Snoop, if I sign this for you, can you take a picture of my aunt? He goes, yeah, no problem, nephew. So he grabs my aunt. My aunt and does like a whiff. She goes, oh my God, it's true. He smells like the best kush I've ever had in my life. I said, T, get away from Snoop Dogg and stop following him. But it was stories like that. Snoop Dogg at the party. just remembering not sleeping, getting on the plane, holding a trophy, and then getting back into Pittsburgh and being a part of that parade was. If I tell everybody, people experience like confetti. There's nothing like confetti hitting you in the face. It's like everything to me. It was everything for me. So that's one of my crazy. And my aunt, and thank God, she does love to toke the little marijuana. So.
And then you got to experience what I went through for 13 seasons. Was you got to play for the Jets?
Oh, my Jets.
This is The Locker Room.
Antoine, I can only imagine with the team that you had in Miami, especially because it is Miami, that you have to have some pretty decent stories about post-championship.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We won on the road, so let's start with that. We won in Dallas, so that was a problem. So we stayed in the locker room till pretty much we ran out of champagne and we started throwing Budweiser on each other. So we felt like it's probably time to go back to the hotel.
Now, why Budweiser though?
Bud Diesel.
That was all that was left.
Really?
That's all that was left. So
that's not a championship beer.
No, we went through the champagne. We had ran out. You know, so we ran out, got to the beer. So now Raul's like, we're going back to the hotel. So he rented out one of the ballrooms. So for the family and friends to go in there. So all the guys went in there. They had like a little buffet food. Okay. So about 4 a.m, Raul says, listen, y'all ready to go back? We was like, yeah, we need to get back to Miami. So we landed in Miami at 8 a.m. Go there, everybody checks in. So we said, listen, what we doing tonight? So we went to the strip club. We went to Diamond Strip Club. The whole team, all 15 of us. Cost us about $150 as a group. We spent about $150,000 in singles. In singles, we spent $150,000. I'm not, no lie, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not putting any sauce on the story.
Okay, so just for a second, just because
all 15 of us,
I'm a strip club connoisseur.
His story is so much better than yours already.
Help me explain what does that look like. Do they bring it out in a casket? Do they bring it out in buckets? Like, how do they bring that? We would get them in
the 5,000, the racks for 5,000, right? So the married guys, they got to use their credit card.
Ooh,
they can't do it. They swiping the card,
baby.
Right? They swiping the card. See, if you're a strip club connoisseur, you should know, Willie. That should pop right up on like, oh, I get it, Bing.
Right.
Right. So we do 150. We partied. So that was our own group, all 15 guys. We made everybody come. And we spent about $150 in Diamond Strip Club. I'll never forget it. And then we didn't have our parade for like 2 days, though. We had to wait a couple days for the parade.
Right.
But what I
organized.
so what I did after the parade, I called my boy from college that I went to school with. I said, listen, I want to party for 30 days straight.
30 days? I feel like a mutant, an amateur compared to you.
No, I'm serious. I'm like, listen, we're going to start in Miami. We'll start in Miami and we'll work our way around the country. And we're going to finish up in L.A. at the ESPYs. He was like, let's roll. I got to 22.
Right.
Before I got alcohol poison.
22?
I got 20.
Your liver shut down.
Yeah, it shut down. Yeah. I woke up shaking and shakes with the chills. But I got 22 days in strong. Just me and him. I didn't take me and him in every city. New York. We flew back to Chicago. We went to Houston. We went to Dallas. I mean, we hit every city, and we end up in L.A., and I'm supposed to go to the ESPYs. I couldn't even make it to the ESPYs. ESPN was pissed at me.
Ooh.
Because that gift room for the ESPYs.
No IV bags anywhere. You couldn't get an IV bag?
No, I stayed in the room for 2 days. I got some medicine, stayed in the room. But I had the shakes. It was over with. Yeah, it was over with for me.
Wow.
Patron.
Antoine, you know what the best part of this whole story is? Yeah. Is that Willie actually started the story by telling you that he's a strip club connoisseur. Little does he mention the fact that he actually fell in love with a stripper named Phoenix.
Oh, yes.
And waited outside of her dressing room. And she completely blew him off.
So my 21st birthday, just to tell everybody. So my 21st birthday, all the men in my family were like, listen, you're a man now, let's take you out. So they took me to the strip club. And I fell in love with the stripper. Her name was Phoenix. To the point we went to the back room, and we start telling all our crazy secrets, right? I'm telling her, like, listen, one day I want to play the NFL. One day I want to, like, I'm just spilling my guts out to this woman. She's telling me how she has, like, 3 kids. She's going to community college. She wants to be, like, a nurse. We're having a great connection. I feel like we're really getting to know each other. At the end of the night, she's like, wait for me by the dressing room. I'm like, boom. Now, at this point, I have given this woman everything I had in my pocket. If I could have gave her my shoes, I probably would have gave it up. I was that in love with her. I'm sitting by the dressing room. This about 6'7" security guy. He goes, "Hey, big fella, how can I help you?" So I'm like, "Oh, no problem here. I'm just waiting for Phoenix. She's gonna come back out. We're gonna have breakfast, right?" He gives me this look, bro. He goes, he's like, who you waiting for? I'm like, Phoenix. He goes, all right, stay right here. 10 minutes go by, 15 minutes go by, 20 minutes go by. It dawns on me that I've just been had. To the point where my brother-in-law, who was in the car, comes in back inside the strip club. He goes, man, we've been waiting outside. What's going on? I'm like, man, I've been waiting for this girl. She's going to jump in. We're just going to have breakfast. We're going to hang out for the rest of the night. So at that point, my brother-in-law puts his hand on my shoulder and goes, it's time to go, son. You've been had. And the security, I look back at the security. He goes, yeah, homeboy, she left 2 hours ago. Done. I was crushed. That was my first experience in the strip club. And she took all my birthday money. And if I ever found Phoenix again, I would probably cry. I'm like, why would you do that to a young, innocent 20-year-old kid?
She told me she wanted to go to community college and be a nurse.
Right.
I dreamed about being in the NFL.
It was so
after
bad.
listening to both of these stories, man, I feel like the 2-for-1 pitches of Bud that I got after winning the Bean Pot doesn't seem nearly as fun.
It doesn't. I mean, Twan's story, he had the shakes from partying 22 straight days.
That's a commitment, though, Twan. 30 days.
Yeah.
Oh,
Every
man.
city, I was in the DJ booth. I was going around. I used to tell the DJ, remember that JD Kid, the champ is here.
Oh, wow.
And look,
Yep.
every city, play that for me. The champ is here.
But
that's how they're going. Like
that's how you should do it, though. If you're going to do it,
I
that's
was
how
on,
you do it.
Listen, I was on cloud nine. You couldn't tell me nothing.
That's why people chase the ring. People chase championships, not just obviously that's the ultimate goal. You want to win a championship, you're always going to be going down in the books. But from a large part, you get to take your family, your friends, and they can get on that ride with you, man. And you can go and you have access to. I can remember when we landed in Vegas after winning the Super Bowl, and on the billboard it said "Welcome home, Super Bowl champs," and it had our faces. I looked at my right guard at the time was Darnell Stapleton, and we're both city kids. And I said, bro, if it gets any bigger than this, we're going to die. We felt like we were on cloud nine. And that's why I tell a lot of young guys, if you think you've done it, you have no idea.
I still can't believe the $150,000 in ones. At
All
Diamonds.
singles, baby.
All singles.
All singles.
They must have loved you guys there. You must have got a platinum card after you left Diamonds. All right, I promise. After this break, we're going to talk about Matt Harvey. He was set to start the season finale against the series finale, against the Miami Marlins today at 1 over at Citi Field. Unfortunately for him, he's been suspended 3 days without pay. We'll hear from Mets GM Sandy Alderson. Also, we'll eventually, and I promise, because we're leading into Game 4, coverage of the Cavs-Raptors series, we will start talking about LeBron James, Steph Curry, and the rest of the two teams that we figure are going to be in the NBA Finals. You're listening right now to The Locker Room with Willie Cologne, Rick DiPietro, and Antoine Walker. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. You can save hundreds on your car, business, or recreational vehicle insurance from a local independent agent. Go to Progressive.com today. Now that's Progressive.
Very progressive.
All I'm saying, though, Willie, is if Matt Harvey got suspended for the reason that we think he got suspended for,
Listen,
I'm almost jealous that I didn't think of it.
first of all, you got to support whoever did it, too. We got to find a culprit. There's a name to this guy.
Again, the beauty of being in the locker room, unfortunately for the Mets, they decided to tweet it.
Social media strikes again.
It'll ruin everything.
It's ruined a lot of guys' lives.
This is The Locker Room.
Computer, execute 12.4p operation.
Optimizing algorithm. Running encryption packet alpha. Night. Oh, I don't feel so good.
What is it, computer?
Is it hot in here? It feels hot in here. I feel a little clammy. I should lie down or something.
A computer with a virus? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
Those oysters Rockefeller were a mistake.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
This is The Locker Room Podcast.
All right, fellas, so I'm watching this game last night. I'm watching Utah Golden State. Now, everyone in the crowd last night for Utah was wearing the no nightlife.
No, is there really a nightlife?
That Matt Barnes was. Listen, you can find trouble wherever you're at.
Yeah, but it's Utah. I
Hey,
mean,
listen, you can't
what's
find
going
no
on
trouble
Utah?
up there. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It is no nightlife. It's tough to find a good restaurant in Utah.
Wow.
Room
Seriously.
service then, Antoine?
No rattlesnake barbecue.
Room service it is then?
Yeah, that's the trip when the schedule comes out. You like, I'm hoping it's a back-to-back so we can get out of here. That's like the one you like, man, I hope it's a back-to-back. Hopefully we can get there in Portland. You want to get in and out of those places right away. Portland is always raining. It's miserable. So you want to get in and out. But Utah is no nightlife there.
No strip clubs in Utah then?
No. Hey, we're not going to make this that I'm the strip club man. I just had a nice experience after I won the title. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm actually on the internet right now looking up championship belts.
Right.
See if I can customize this one for Twan. I think what Matt Barnes meant was that the Utah Jazz were going to give Golden State no life at night in any of these games. I mean, headed into that game last night, Utah had led for 0 minutes the entire series.
They had nothing.
That was a night last night where Steph struggled, Clay struggled. I mean, Draymond ended up picking up a technical foul on the bench, and Kevin Durant. Twan, let me ask you this. In your opinion, would you consider Kevin Durant the second best player in the NBA just behind LeBron James?
He's in the top five.
Top five?
He's in the top five. Yeah, I mean, Durant's been, hurt a little bit. I like Westbrook. I mean, I like Harden. Harden's been consistent the last 3-4 years with his numbers. He could have won MVP 2 years ago. So I think it's 5 guys in that category. LeBron James the best player in the league. I mean, that's second to none. That's not even a question. But then the other guys, you can kind of put them in a little pool. I think, with the Westbrooks, the Hardens, and the Durants, Steph Curry's. You got to put those guys in a little pool.
I think you're the perfect person to ask this. So the team that you played on in Miami that won the championship, right? You're in a situation where you start off 10-10, and the expectations for that team with yourself, Shaq, D-Wade, Alonzo Mourning comes back was, I mean, you guys were loaded. You were supposed to win a championship, and now all of a sudden Pat Riley takes over because he's not playing around. What was it like, first and foremost, to play an entire season with those expectations, and what was it like as far as having all those personalities come together to win a championship?
For me, it was different because I never, obviously in Boston, we made the playoffs a few years and we were competitive. But being on this team and playing with Shaq and D-Wade was unbelievable for me. So I embraced the moment of being there. But I mean, you were sought out there every night. Everybody wanted to beat you, so it was tough. But we was able to withstand it once Pat got in and kind of calm things down. Because really, he was with Stan. He was a screamer. He was a yeller. When you playing with guys like Shaq and Alonzo and Gary, they don't respond well to that type of action. So I think guys respected Pat Riley a lot more at that time when he came in. So the expectation was big. We embraced it. After we went 10-10, we settled down, and Shaq came back healthy, got healthy, and we rode the young fella. We rode Dwayne Wade, who had an unbelievable season that year. We rode his coattail, and the veteran guys just kind of picked up the slack on the side. But the focus is totally different. You're good. It's a matter of focusing in and doing the little things and everybody buying into a certain role. So once we all bought into our roles, everybody fit. Because when I came in, Stan Van Gundy, tell you a quick story, Stan Van Gundy told me, he said, well, I can't start you. I'm like, huh? I've been starting 9 years of my career.
Right.
He's like, I can't start you. I'm like, why not? He's like, listen, I'm running all the plays for Dwayne and Shaq. I can't get you involved in the offense in the beginning of the game. So I was like, all right, fine. So the beginning of the year, I came off the bench. Pat Riley took over, called me in the office. He said, you're starting. I was like, all right. He was like, why am I starting? He was like, listen, you are our best guy to pass the ball in the Shaq. You're going to start. We'll figure it out, getting your offense together. So what I would did when Pat Riley came, I would play the first 7 minutes. He would sub me out for James Posey, and then I would play with the second unit in the second quarter. But that was just one of the things. So you make sacrifices when you go into teams like that.
And I think that's what you're seeing with the Cavs, especially LeBron. We always talk about like that one dominant player that just is superior to everybody else. But I look at LeBron and I put KD in a situation. Like when I look at KD, him and LeBron, when they're on, they look like the best people on the court. Like they're just superstars. What you saw last night with KD, he was brought there for the one reason. When Clay and Steph are not on, he's the safety net. He's the guy, when you give him the ball, no matter what kind of day the team's having, he's going to put him over the hump. I don't feel like LeBron has that right now. So that's what scares me about the Cavs going into this thing right now and trying to make this run to the championship.
You know what's amazing, too, about Golden State is that we're always taught as athletes, right? Like, especially when you're in a team that's not that talented, is that will beat skill.
Right.
And when this team is right, when this team was healthy to start the season, you're talking about a team that's will matched up with their skill. I mean, you're talking about a team that led the league offensively and led the league defensively. So LeBron's definitely going to have his hands full if these two, and I hope these two do meet in the finals. Willie, Twan, you know what's always in season?
haircuts.
Surprising a friend, a loved one, or maybe even a stripper, Antoine, with a bouquet from 1-800-Flowers.com. 1-800-Flowers has amazing offers on bouquets starting at just $29.99. Go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. You're listening to The Locker Room here with Rick DiPietro. I got Super Bowl champion Willie Clone. I got NBA champion Antoine Walker on ESPN Radio and ESPN app. So I figure, Antoine, you're the perfect person to ask because you actually played against LeBron. You played against Michael Jordan, who everyone considers to be the GOAT. LeBron's been absolutely ridiculous to start these playoffs. I mean, he's giving you 34 points a game, almost 42 minutes a night. So, I mean, what he's doing right now is absolutely ridiculous. Our very own PJ Carlissimo has said that LeBron is approaching GOAT territory. Approaching GOAT territory. Is that true? I'm not sure, but we're going to have a chance to discuss that. Twan, I'll be interested to get your take because you did play against LeBron James and you got a chance to play against Michael Jordan. I mean, is this a fair comparison? Don't give me your full answer, but would you agree? I mean, is he approaching that territory or is he still a ways off?
No, he's approaching it.
He's approaching it, so there's a fair argument to be had, correct?
Yes, a very fair argument.
All right, I mean, so we're going to ask the callers, too. You can get a hold of us at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. What you've seen so far from LeBron James, the fact that he's approaching his 7th straight NBA Finals. I mean, is there an opportunity now to put him in the same conversation as what many people consider the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan? I don't think it's disrespectful to either of them to have that conversation. Like the same way I don't feel like it's disrespectful to have the conversation about Tom Brady and Joe Montana, right? You only want to get yourself into the conversation, right?
Yeah, but you also have to realize there's two different eras, two different type of sports, and a reference to how the game was played. So it's a great conversation, but at some point we got to realize LeBron, he may be wearing the crown forever.
Well, he's special, right? Like, I mean, we'll obviously get into this, but he's special. But I mean, I guess what bothers a lot of people as far as, you know, the Charles Barkleys, the Michael Jordans, those guys that played in that era is because what you're seeing right now is kind of where you base your opinion.
Right.
It's because you see LeBron and how dominant he's been is you're quick to say
he's that guy.
He's that guy.
Right.
But, I mean, then you also forget about some of the numbers. I mean, look at Will Chamberlain's numbers.
This is The Locker Room.
Antoine, I want to ask you this question. It was something we teased earlier on in the show. So you mentioned the fact that a lot of people will hold LeBron James's decision taking his talents to South Beach against him, right? Like he chased the rings. How important, though, for LeBron James was it? Because you mentioned that LeBron James has turned Kyrie and Kevin Love into winners. How important was it for LeBron to go to Miami and be around a winner like D-Wade?
It was important. I think people got to understand LeBron tried to get guys to come to Cleveland. And I'm going to be honest, Cleveland is not a destination spot for free agents. People don't want to live there, and obviously there's not a lot to do there. And that plays a big part where guys want to go play. So I give LeBron credit. He tried different guys. You think about Antoine Jameson in his prime came. You think about Mo Williams. You think about Shaquille O'Neal tried to go down and play with him. So he tried different guys. He just couldn't get anybody to come there. You know, he went out to Chris Bosh first, and Chris Bosh told him no. So they all picked Miami. So you got to give him a little credit for that. He did try, and he knew he couldn't get a big-time free agent to come there. You got to remember, when he went back, Kyrie Irving was already there, and he was we saw the potential of Kyrie Irving being a superstar in this league. So Cleveland didn't have that in place for him already.
I mean, if you think about it, too, he actually did Cleveland as much as no, seriously, as much as him leaving affected not only the Cavaliers but the entire city of Cleveland, right? The economics of Cleveland.
Shut down.
I mean, the fact that he went to Miami actually allowed that team to rebuild, right? Like he leaves, all of a sudden they get the first overall pick. Right. So now all of a sudden he comes back and he's surrounded by young talent. I think that's what went to the decision to go back, is he's going home and he's got a bunch of young guys that he can actually now teach how to win, and they're still in their prime and they can get him to, because I think we're talking about the Yankees here in New York, Willie, quite a bit, right? And I think the reason for optimism with the Yankees was they had a great mix of young and old, right? Like veteran leadership, but you got the young guys, and you need the young guys. Antoine, you kind of brought up, I mean, he brought up Shaq and the attitude Shaq brought to the locker room. You need that young enthusiasm, smiles on their faces, happy to be in the locker room to kind of drag the veteran guys to the playoffs. 100%. Where now all of a sudden, because you're a veteran and because you have that experience, you use that to your advantage. But to get through the grind of 82 games or in an NFL season, you need those young guys every single day to kind of pick you up, lift up your spirits. All right, let's take a call here. Let's go to Marvin in Maryland. What's going on, Marvin?
Thanks, gentlemen, for taking my call. I am so happy to talk to Antoine Walker. You're one of my favorite players ever to watch in my whole life. I love the New York flair. I love the games in Kentucky. So I'm so happy I got a chance to say what's up to you.
Yo, thanks. I appreciate that.
I'm never going to call LeBron the greatest. I can't even think. There's so many negatives to him being the greatest over Michael Jordan, and I'm just going to name a few, just if you guys give me a second. All right? First of all, Michael Jordan had to go through the Pistons and Boston. And I'd just like to remind you who was on those teams, okay? I mean, the reason why Jordan didn't get there at a young age is because those were the guys in front of him. The second thing is Jordan didn't really have to learn to be a champion. It was a DNA thing within him. Like LeBron was trying to find his way, especially after the first Olympics. He did with Kobe. It seems like Kobe kind of got him going the right direction because he didn't win the first year in Miami. He won the second. The first one, he basically cowered in the corner against Dallas, and it was an awful series for him. I hope everybody remembers that because I'll never hear anybody, and I mean nobody, ever say that Michael Jordan cowered anywhere, ever, on a basketball court. That just will never, ever happen.
Marvin, before we let you go, I want to ask you this question quickly, Marvin, and I understand the points that you're making. You're making great points. Now, unfortunately, as an athlete, right, like you're given your schedule, and you don't dictate, how good the teams you're playing against are, right? You go out there, you play, and you try to win basketball games, correct? So if you're in a situation, right, where LeBron James now goes to his 7th straight finals. So last year, they play the 73-win Golden State Warriors, right? Which reminds me a lot of the 2007 Patriots, right? Like the Patriots undefeated up to the final game, they lose to the Giants. So you get a 73-win team, you're down 3-1. You're in Golden State. Now, a lot of people argue because Draymond Green gets suspended, Bogut gets hurt. But LeBron James, and we always keep talking about flipping a switch. I mean, he took his game to a whole new level. They win Game 5 in Golden State. They win Game 7 in Golden State. They end up winning the series. So if he turns around off of that performance, and say what you want about the East, he gets all the way back to his 7th straight finals, and he faces a Golden State Warriors team that many people would say is better than the 73-win team and beats them again. Is this championship equal to, so now he has 4 championships, but he's beaten the Golden State Warriors twice, who many people will say may be the best team of all time. Does that equate to 6 championships in your mind?
I will say that the championships aren't really why I would even say that they were even comparable, because I think that Michael Jordan taking off those 2 years in the middle of his 3-3 run, I mean, honestly, he was on a run to probably win straight 8.
Right.
Olajuwon and Olajuwon, it was both of you, Olajuwon. Olajuwon should thank him because Jordan saved him from going championship-less as well as Barkley and the rest of them. But I will say, you're right with he did flip a switch. I am on that board, though, saying, and I'm not trying to hate on LeBron, but I'm on board with if they don't suspend Draymond Green, they lose last year. I honestly believe that they were lost. If you remember Game 4, they got destroyed in that game, and they didn't know what to do. And then they got their bearings when the best defensive player on their team is missing, and then they lose their center. So all of a sudden, it's a war of attrition, and the bigger, stronger team seems to win that series.
Thanks for the call, Marvin. You know what it was, too? It was almost like Golden State lost their toughness, right?
100%.
Like Draymond Green was their toughness, and all of a sudden LeBron James, knowing that Draymond was gone. I mean, I always go back to the play, and it wasn't even during the actual play. It was when Steph Curry, there was a whistle, and Steph Curry goes to make a layup,
right,
and LeBron James just comes out of nowhere and swats away the ball. Like,
cleans
him up.
Right.
And you just said, I mean, it was almost like, okay, your tough guy's gone. Now we can impose our will, and that's exactly what they did in that series.
It's like when Rocky beat the Russian.
You know what, though?
I will break you.
You got to be, and Will, you know this, you got to be a little lucky, too, to win title. Everything's got to kind of go your way. So you got to be a little lucky, have a little luck in there, and you got to hope a couple things go your way. And Cleveland got the luck element came in play when they got, obviously, Draymond Green suspended and Andrew Bogut hurts his knee, and it kind of fell in their lap.
But you can even see, like, if you go back to the finals last year, LeBron kind of, even in that press conference, that post game, he was so dramatic and so, like, he was so outward with it. Like, he forced the NBA to force their hand. Like, you got to do something with Draymond. Because he was having so many episodes along this way. And then you have your top guy, like, listen, if he doesn't go, we're going to have a bigger problem here. So it shows you the impact LeBron really has in the NBA, and he's the guy right now.
You know what it is, too, and it kind of reminds me of, like, if there's that hot woman, right? Like you're desperate to be with. Like if you show her how desperate you are, she's going to make you earn it, right? She's going to make you work for it. Like we all know how desperate LeBron James wants to be considered the greatest of all time. He's chasing the ghost, right? So people kind of go out of their way to find the reasons to criticize a guy who, I mean, if you looked at just pure basketball play, you take all the championships out of it. Like if you were to pick one guy at his size with his strength, with his versatility, I mean, you'd be hard-pressed not to pick LeBron James at this point, right? I mean, he's that good.
Antoine, I got to ask you a question. At what point, I know for me, when I was in Pittsburgh, that I tell everybody, I knew we were at a point where we were running plays, we were doing things that the other team knew and they couldn't stop us. We actually started shaving down our script as far as play calling when I was in Pittsburgh because we felt like we were that strong. When you was in the playoffs, were there some things that you just knew when you got on the court that there's nothing that could stop you? You were just on. It was it. You felt the momentum changing on your side?
Oh, yeah, all the time. And that usually goes series by series. I think that's how that usually goes. And if you watch right now, I mean, LeBron looks like he's 25 again. The way he's dominating right now, and it's like a sense of confidence that he has right now that, hey, none of these guys can guard me. I can do what I want to do to them. I can make any move I want. They have nobody on their roster that can stay in front of me. So you do get that feeling all the time. It just depends on the opponent, especially because it's series. Obviously, football, you win one, you win, you lose, you through. So it's different. But in a series, you feel that way, that you like, listen, we ain't got to reinvent the wheel to beat them. We're going to do what we've been doing. We're going to stick to our guns, and that's it.
This is The Locker Room. This is The Locker Room Podcast.
Willie Colon loves Fig Newtons. And if you've seen him, you can tell he loves Fig Newtons. But he hates Isaac Newton. And the reason he hates Isaac Newton is, Antoine, wait to hear this. So you talked about earlier on in the show how after you won the NBA championship, you told your boy, I want to go 30 straight days. I want to travel the country. I want to walk into the bar. I want to take over the DJ booth. And I want to run the show. I want to Patron my face off.
Patron my face off.
And that's exactly what you did. So Willie Colon now is taking his final stand. So Willie Colon is going to get married this summer.
Yes, I'm taking a walk.
Yeah, he's taking the walk. So he's decided in all his wisdom that he's going to choose his bachelor party as his time to start marking things off his bucket list. And now normal people would go on a bachelor party, say maybe you leave it Thursday, you come home on Sunday night, you probably go to Vegas, red eye, whatever it is. No, not for Willie Colon. Willie Colon has decided that he's going to go a full 7 days, and you're going to need your passport because he's going to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And now, Willie, just for the listeners, at this point of your retirement, what are we weighing in at?
Oh, I'm at a rough scraping 360.
So he's scraping 360, Twan, and the first thing we talked about, and he was on our show here in New York, was that, as far as bucket list was concerned, because I said, what are you going to do in Costa Rica? Like, I mean, you can't drink for 7 straight days. You're going to get too much sun. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to go fishing?
Like Twan guy.
Yeah, your liver's going to shut down. So he says, I always wanted a zip line. Now, you're going to choose Costa Rica at 360 pounds to zip line.
Hey, I heard it's strong wire out there.
So how is that going now? I think we Googled, right, zip lining in Costa Rica?
When we brought it to the fans, and everybody was like, you shouldn't do it, because they showed me 3 or 4 videos of guys losing their ACLs on this zip line thing. Then they showed one guy who was actually on the zip line, and he was coming in so hot he almost went through the tree. So now I'm not going to zip line because I'm scared.
Well, of course you're scared, and I'm sure your wife would be scared, too, for the fact that, I mean, I'm not sure there's a zip line that could hold you, because I feel like middle of the way down the zip line, you would be actually walking on the ground in a harness.
But listen, I've always felt, Antoine, you can admit to this, when you play, there's certain things you can't do because it's just a liability. You can't do it.
Yeah.
So now that I'm retired, I have like a bucket list of things that I'm really excited to do. Zip lining is one of those things. And so now I'm going to try it. Now, I heard there's a weight limit. So I'm trying to shave a couple before the trip so I can get on this.
Yeah, we like to call that gravity. That's what normal people call gravity. And that's exactly why you hate Isaac Newton. So we're going to lead you in at 2:30. We got the Cavs at Raptors Game 4 on ESPN Radio and ESPN app. And at 3:30, you flip over if you want to watch it on TV on ABC and the Watch ESPN app. Also, do yourselves a favor. Tonight, you tune into AL Battle. On Sunday Night Baseball as the Yankees host the Astros. Willie loves him some Yankees. Coverage of Sunday Night Baseball begins at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPNRadio.com, and the ESPN app. And at 8 p.m. on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. Let's take some more calls. Let's go to, I'm sure I know what this call is going to be about. Let's go to John in Ohio. What's going on, John?
OHIO.
Hey, guys. How you doing? Thank you for taking my call.
Thanks for calling, man.
You guys have a great show. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, brother.
All right. You guys have a great show. I really like this. Antoine Walker, that guy stroked your ego so bad, I got to turn you down. You were your coach at University of Kentucky.
Wasn't he rubbing his back? He should have got his flip-flops.
I'm a University of Louisville fan, and then I'm a Boston Celtics fan, and then you two jive turkeys went to Boston. You almost made me change my NBA team.
Right.
All right.
Jesus.
Now, and Willie, you played for the greatest franchise ever in all sports. So there's enough said. Nobody needs to stroke your ego. You already know.
Already.
Trust me, he does it himself every single day.
It's called Willie time.
Okay, you see the size of his forearms.
Now, the LeBron issue, and LeBron and Jordan issue, I think LeBron is a victim of just the era he's playing in. I mean, let's just be real. He has to be in the conversation, and it's really a coin flip. It really is. The only difference is, in my opinion, there's only two differences. And let me preface this by saying that Michael Jordan played against a lot tougher competition, yes, but that was just when he was playing, and he didn't play just against Hall of Famers. He's playing against NBA top 50 people. And, top 50 all-time people. And LeBron just isn't. There's probably only two, besides himself, there's probably only two people that might move into that top 50 in this era that he's playing in. But that's just a function of the era he's playing in. You can't take anything from LeBron. Is he the greatest? Is Jordan the greatest? I really think it's a coin toss between the two of them, but we all know Bill Russell really is the greatest. We do know that, right?
Well, he's the greatest winner. Bill Russell's the greatest winner. I mean, if you start looking at what Wilt Chamberlain did, I mean, do yourselves a favor. If you're at home right now by the computer, Google Wilt Chamberlain's stats for a quick second, and you'd be amazed. I mean, this dude actually averaged more minutes per game than in an NBA game. He averaged over 48 minutes for a season. I mean, it's unbelievable. So,
Bill Russell invented the block shot and the dunk.
I agree. You're 100% right. But again, I mean, and listen, the point that you make is a great point. And this is why I have such a hard time with these arguments, is that you can only play against the teams that are on your schedule, right? Like he can't make a phone call and say, listen, whoever it is, Toronto, you guys need to play me tougher, because as I'm trying to chase Michael Jordan, I mean, people are holding the lack of toughness against me. Let's fix this. Right. You just can't do it. I mean, it's why if you have a conversation about quarterbacks now in the NFL, I mean, you can't start looking at all these quarterbacks' numbers and say this guy's better than this guy, because
it's all about the system.
Listen, when Dan Marino played, it was different than it is now.
I didn't mean.
No. What do you got?
I'm not an athlete, but I'm not an athlete, but I love watching sports. And here's what I think it is. I think the talent level, the talent level in the NBA may be different, but the skill level, and I don't know if that makes sense. The skill level between Michael Jordan and LeBron James is almost equal. There's skill. There's a difference between having talent, and to me, there's a difference between having talent and having skill. Larry Bird was skilled.
Yep.
Dominique Wilkins was talented. It's not a white or black thing. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying there's a difference. And Michael Jordan
high motor.
And LeBron James
hard worker.
Was the most skilled ball players I've ever laid eyes on.
Well, we appreciate the call, John. You make some great points. And this could be a whole hour-long conversation as far as, athletes in general. You got bigger, stronger, faster athletes, but doesn't necessarily equate to better basketball, better football, better hockey, because a lot of these guys aren't coached well, and they rely on their athleticism, and they don't necessarily learn. And this is the point you always make about offensive linemen in the NFL. They don't learn the fundamentals to be great at what they do. Right. They're not great technicians. They're just really good athletes, and it usually leads to a worse product on the field or on the court. And I think that's what you see. That's no fault of LeBron James. Is unfortunately he's playing in an era right now where, I mean, there's a level of inevitability of who's going to end up in the finals, right?
There's not a lot of talent, to his point. Like, when you talk about, and like the caller tried to mention, listen, when Mike was out there, and Valid, he was when you talk about Magic and Bird, he was kind of the new wave. But even in the new wave, you still had Ewing, you still had Isaiah, you still had Barkley, you still had a whole list of guys who were just cream of cream of the top type guys. And at the end of the day, when you look at LeBron, you're really looking at Steph and KD. There's not a lot of guys that he's going against where you can say, hey, this is the standard, this is the bar. Let's see how LeBron's really faring up against these guys. So it's a great conversation.
Yeah, and real quickly, you got to think about, too, and you guys are all right, but the league is off potential now. You're drafting 18, 19-year-old guys, and they're playing, so you got to wait till they're 4 or 5 years into the league before we start to see these guys really develop into good players. So LeBron's got an advantage because he's playing in the era where, guys are playing off potential, where Michael was a little bit tougher.
This is The Locker Room.
Lonzo Ball, LaVar Ball, the fact that his sneakers are awful looking and they cost $500, and if you have a big foot, you can pay $200 extra for him, and the relationship going on there and what Lonzo is going to be dealing with as he gets drafted here into the NBA. Antoine, I need you to settle something for me. So Willie Colon last night decides he's going to have a fight night blowout party, right? Now, apparently my cell phone's not receiving emails or text messages because I wasn't apparently invited, right?
You were invited.
So he's on our radio show on Friday. I kind of confront him about it because he's talking to Chris Candy, who's on our show with us. What should I bring? Setting the whole night up. And now, out of pity, I guess it's pity, he decides he's going to invite me. Now, I look at pay-per-view fights, especially ones that I'm not that interested in, because I just felt like, we're all waiting for the inevitable Canelo Triple G fight, which luckily we'll get to see. I look at it like boats, right? Like people always ask me, how come you don't buy a boat?
Because they're expensive.
Well, first of all, I'm not a seaman. I have no idea how to fix a boat. And second of all, it's better to have a friend that owns a boat. I want a friend that owns a boat.
But if you had a choice to buy a boat, you would buy a boat.
No, I won't.
Why?
Because if it flies, it drives.
Right.
You can date it.
Right.
You rent it. It's a depreciating asset. It's a depreciating asset. I don't do it. I don't deal with it. So I look at having a pay-per-view fight like I don't want to rent it because I don't want to really
deal with it.
So I'd rather have a friend that has it and is going to have a party. Unfortunately, apparently we're not friends because you didn't invite me.
That's not true. I invited you. You just said you can't make it past 8:30.
It was a pity. It was a pity invite.
Antoine, he's like, listen, anything past 8:30, I can't survive. What do you want me to do with that? The main card doesn't start till 9. The undercard started at 9 Eastern time.
Yeah, that's a tough one there, Rick. I got to go with Willie on that.
Thank you.
8:30 is your curfew?
8:30 is a curfew. He's already about talking about cookies and milk and a
but hear me out, though, Twan. So if we're really friends, right, like if me and you have spent a lot of time together, like if I'm going out of my way tomorrow to support Willie Colon at his golf outing, like you would know that I have a 2-year-old son and a 6-month-old daughter. So if you let me know a day before the fight, the chances of me getting a babysitter are slim to none, right?
Now, that's true, too, Willie. Now,
but
you got to give a guy – he needs at least a 2-week notice.
See?
But, listen, I told him he was going to be in the man cave. We was going to have beer. We're going to have pizza. We're going to have wings. Man cave. I'm assuming your wife could have pitched in for you and babysit it, right?
That wouldn't be right, though. She wants to see the fight.
No, she doesn't.
She wants to hang with your wife.
She does not know. She maybe hang out with my wife, but she doesn't want to watch the fight.
Let me explain something to you, right?
Please.
So I work every day. I'm on the radio.
Yes, I'm aware
My
of that.
wife, we don't have any help. So she stays home with a 2-year-old son and a 6-month-old daughter.
Okay.
She's actually begging to get a job. She wishes she could work and I would stay home. She would be more than willing to come.
So whose fault is that? It's not my fault. I had a fight party. I invited you. I needed you there. You said no. You said, I'm not going to the fight party because I have to be in bed by 8:30.
Listen, all I'm saying is I thought we were friends.
We are friends.
So let's get into this next topic, right? So Lonzo Ball released his new shoes, the Zo2s. In my opinion, they look like janitor sneakers, really is what they look like. They're $495. Now, Twan, you were in an NBA locker room, right? You were drafted 6th overall by the Boston Celtics.
Stud.
Now, you're in a situation where you're going into a new locker room, and Willie always talks about this. The biggest jump you'll ever make in sports in general is from college to the pros.
Correct.
Do you think it's fair what LaVar has done as far as setting Lonzo up to make that transition into the NBA?
I think it's tough, and the one thing that kind of stands out to me that I think he's hurting his son on is like when I came into the league, I was the youngest guy on the team, obviously coming in at 19, but Rick Fox was my veteran, David Wesley, D. Brown, Frank Bukowski, Purvis Ellison. So those were my veterans. So those are guys that I kind of could talk to and lean towards. I don't know if his father going to let him even talk to his teammates.
Right.
That's the way that's the perception that he kind of puts out there. But it's unfortunate that he's doing this to him because the thing is he's going to have to work out for a couple teams. We know that. The teams are going to take him to dinner by himself, so we know he doesn't say much. He's going to have to talk on his own. And the teams are going to ask him tough questions about his father. They don't want his father to be a distraction. Obviously, in the NBA, it's totally different. His father's not going to be in the locker room. Obviously, he gives his father a ticket to the game. He just sits where he's going to sit at. But he's going to have to answer those questions. He got to step up sooner or later and become like a grown man soon. Like it's going to happen like within the next month. He's going to have to be the one sitting down talking about how he's going to be as a player. They're not going to be talking about his dad, but I applaud his father for trying. But this is ridiculous. The $500 shoes.
And this is the problem. See, when you bring this up, people get mad, right? They get upset because they listen.
Right.
Here's a dad that's trying to create generational wealth. He's trying to break the mold, and here we are criticizing him for doing this. Well, this is my problem. When asked about why are the sneakers so much, he goes, well, because...
Would you like to know? Would you like to hear exactly? So LaVar Ball was on the Dan Le Batard show, and this is exactly what he said about why the shoes cost $495.
How did you decide on $495?
I figure that's what the shoe is worth. I like the way it's styled. And see, when you're your own owner, you can go with any price you want, how you feel it is. Now, see, with Nike and Under Armour, whatever price, I bet you LeBron, Kobe, none of them sat in on the price point because they're going to sell it for what they want to sell it for.
But they're going to sell what they want to sell it for because they're already paying LeBron and Kobe a certain amount of money to wear those sneakers.
But how do you have the audacity? Jordans aren't even $500.
No.
How do you have the audacity to charge more than the great one? Isn't that kind of obnoxious? Isn't that arrogant?
You know what's crazy about this? And if this is why I know he's not like the marketing genius. Why would I want to outprice my shoe to where so many kids cannot afford it? Kids are the ones that's wearing the shoe. So why would I want to outprice them? I'm not going to outprice the kids. It's hard enough now. If we pay $500 for a pair of shoes, it's probably going to be a dress shoe, something that's going to last for years. You're not going to just pay $500 for a pair of gym shoes. I'm not into gym shoes like that anymore. And then and Willie knows this, and Rick, you know the same. We get our shoes probably free, especially some athletic wear.
Yep.
So why would you want to outprice the kids from buying your shoe and making your son could be possibly a household name? Kids are not going to buy a $500 shoe that does not look good. I don't think he understands that you're outpricing yourself right now. It's crazy.
And what kills me about it most, so this kid's going to be drafted, right? Either to the Lakers or whoever, right? His father's putting a big target on his back. Because I tell you what, Twan, and I've played with a nasty streak, and I know you got edge to you, and Rick is a chippy, he's a gritty guy. If you have a guy like this, who father's distraction, he's not very vocal, but he has all this going around him. When I see him in practice, I'm going right at him. I'm running right up his chest, and I want to see what kind of oil he has. Because at the end of the day, if you're really about basketball, you need to prove it to your team first day. So we know that your father has no impact on what this team can do and will do down the road. And this is my thing. Like, at some point, he has to have this press conference and be like, listen, my father won't be an issue. He's not a problem. Trust me. I've been dealing with this all my life. He won't be an issue. Because when you start doing ridiculous things like this with the sneaker, the comments, going on shows, the whole baller brand thing, at some point it has to go back to basketball. It has to go back to being a 6-year-old kid, playing in the gym, and lighting it up. That's why he plays the game. And at this point, this young guy, he's already doomed before he even put on the jersey.
You know what happens too, Antoine? Correct me if I'm wrong or not, but I mean, I know as a young kid going into a locker room now, I was drafted high, so I go into a locker room, and now because I like to talk, because I like to have a good time, I was considered cocky, I was considered arrogant. So I had to go out of my way once I stepped into that locker room to prove to my teammates that that's not who I was.
Right.
I was a team guy. I was a guy that respected my elders. I was a guy that walked up and shook the veteran goalie's hand and said, "Hey, Mr. Van Beesbrook, how you doing?" And now I think LaVar Ball has put his son in a situation where, I mean, he's going to have to work. Like, he's going to have to go in that locker room and work
and be a company guy
to earn the trust and the respect of his teammates. And I don't think that's necessarily fair to a young kid that's making the biggest transition of his life. And again, I understand you're trying to set yourself up financially, like your entire family, which is fine. But if you want your son to reach his full potential,
sure,
like all of those things would have. If you think your son is that good, right? Like if you think he is the next Steph Curry, all that stuff is going to come anyway.
If you're Steph Curry, I'm going right at him. I'm going to embarrass him.
But it ain't.
I'm going to light his shoes up.
But Willie, you got to think about this. He's coming into the league, and the point guard position is the toughest, the best position in the NBA right now.
True.
it's not really a night off. You got Westbrook one night, Steph one night, James Harden. Imagine if he's in the West, you got to go against those guys 4 times a year. And they know that. They read that. LeBron, all the comments he's made, those guys are going to go at him. He's playing the toughest position in the league, and that's the point guard position. So you got no nights off. He going to think he playing Michael Conley and think it's a night off, and then Michael Conley going to give you 30. Right. It's that type of league at the point guard position. So it's going to be tough for him. It's going to be an adjustment for him. And I mean, his father needs to lay off a little bit and let him enjoy this process. I guess because we're talking about it, it makes it relevant. But let his son enjoy this process. This is his time to enjoy getting drafted, to enjoy the journey. Something he can remember for the rest of his life. But he doesn't let him do it. It seems like he wants to be the one getting drafted.
Yeah, you're not going to get that Tuesday night off, back-to-back 3 and 4 nights where you figure you're going to have an easy night because everyone's going to make sure because they've heard exactly what's going to happen.
Thanks for listening to the Locker Room Podcast. Make sure to subscribe by clicking the Listen tab on the ESPN app.